You're listening to the Biz Babes with Soul podcast with your host, Melody Spencer, a show where female entrepreneurs get radically honest about life and business. Today's episode is sponsored by Swiftly Social Digital Marketing. Swiftly Social helps people create a heart-centered digital marketing and Facebook ads strategy that gets you results. For a free video tutorial on how to grow your Facebook following by 10,000 or more, visit swiftlysocial.com.
Welcome to the Biz Babes with Soul podcast. I'm your host, Melody Spencer, and I'm so excited to have my friend Danielle Isbell here today. She and I connected a few years ago through the Holocene travel group, and we've stayed in touch ever since. And I'm so excited to have her on the show. Welcome, Danielle.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Melody. Excited to be here.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I am a digital marketer. So that's going to be the short version of what I do. Yeah, I've started in the agency world. Actually, I should rewind a little bit further. I started working at local businesses and started my own photography business, actually. Mm-hmm. And so through that, I just sort of got interested in digital marketing and local marketing specifically. Like, how do I reach my target audience? How do I reach the target audience I was working at some health clubs and chiropractic clinics. Like, how does that whole ecosystem work? So I started, digging on my own. And then I decided I really liked that world and that industry. And I got a job actually at a small agency in Seattle and just learned a whole bunch since then. And that was about 4 years ago. So I'm still actually working with them just on a contract basis. I quote unquote quit my job about a year ago, and my husband and I traveled. So we decided to sell everything and pack up and travel the world. And during that time, my agency pretty much said, hey, if you want to stay on with us and keep, doing projects, we'll just pay you whenever we have jobs for you. So it's worked out really, really nicely that I've been able to I've been able to kind of keep my foot like in the door of that world with the agency and still learn and grow with that. And then when my husband and I came back, we actually are in the Cincinnati area now. And instead of Seattle, it's where I was born, but it's getting too expensive for us. So Amazon's kind of forcing everyone that used to be able to afford to live in Seattle out. So we decided kind of, try somewhere new. So we're trying in Cincinnati for a little while to save up some money. And during kind of the reassessment of what that new world looks like, I launched my own agency. So now I'm focusing on local businesses and building up my own clients over here.
Nice. That's awesome. So what was the deciding factor, or like what kind of spurred you on to sell all your stuff, start working for yourself, and just do something out of the normal 9-to-5?
It was definitely a long process. It's like, when you kind of get those like micro thoughts of just like, God, I wish I could travel more. And maybe what if we just lived abroad for a year? What would that look like? And it's all those little micro conversations that turned into this big decision. I, along with a billion other people, read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. Mm-hmm. And I honestly, like when I read that, I was in a job that I hated. I wasn't moving forward. I wanted to travel. And it kind of just shifted my paradigm of what my life could look like. Like, it doesn't have to be a 9-to-5. You can do things on your own. It doesn't have to look like building a business didn't seem as scary then. So yeah, after I read that and my husband came to me one day, he's like, well, what if we just sold everything and traveled for a year? I knew it was going to happen because he sits and thinks on things forever.
Yeah, that's exactly how my husband is. He will turn it over and over and over again and think through every possibility.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit like, let's just do it and see what happens. Yes. And he's like, no.
That's it. See, like that's exactly our dynamic too, which I think is good because I feel like it maybe forces us to push our husbands maybe outside their comfort zone a little bit. And they're kind of forced to reel us in sometimes. Sometimes that's a good thing. When he mentioned it, I was like, okay, well, I know that he's serious about it because he wouldn't have brought it up otherwise because he knows that I would be like ready to leave the next day. But we were planning a wedding at the time. So we ended up saving for about 3 years before we left. And that was including paying off the wedding. And I think we moved twice. So we like downsized during the course of that time and just really focused on saving money in that time frame. So long answer long, it was a long time coming and a lot of micro decisions that led to that. But I think visioning your life a different way and knowing that you can, I think was the biggest hurdle. And that was the biggest shift that happened. Yeah.
So what was it like trying to travel around the world and work? Was that just absolutely frustrating? Was it fun? Was it terrifying? Like what did that look like for you?
What I envisioned and what the reality was definitely different. I did not go in with the vision of like the laptop at a beach at Bali. Like I knew that wasn't the case. But what I actually wanted to do was go to co-working spaces around the globe, because it's, people that work remotely is becoming more normal now. And there's definitely other entrepreneurs and other, even small businesses or startups that are, using these co-working spaces. And so I was like, oh, I'll make all these connections and I'll go to these co-working spaces. And what I discovered is they're all really expensive. Like even in Thailand, it was, anywhere from $15 a day, and you usually get, good high-speed internet and, free coffee, but I was paying like $5 a day for, including coffee in a coffee shop. So that expectation shifted. We had to kind of toe that line between being a tourist places and being a traveler. Mm-hmm. And when you're a tourist, you're like, okay, I'm going to be in Paris for 7 days and here's the bucket list of all the things we need to do. When you're a traveler, you kind of you're staying in a residence. We Airbnb'd most of the time. We cooked a lot of our own meals when we could. And we maybe picked out 1 or 2 things to do wherever we were, because we couldn't afford to do everything. Like we're traveling long term. And so building work into that lifestyle was a little bit easier. It's definitely harder when you're like, oh, I'm in the city, I'm going to go see and do everything. It's like, yeah, I don't want to sit behind a computer either. I want to go do those things. But building into that, okay, well, we're here, for Europe was faster just because our tourist visa is only 3 months for US. And also it's way more expensive than most other countries.
Yeah, but it's so expensive.
It's so expensive. So when we got to Asia, we stayed about a month in every place. And that let us travel a lot slower. It allowed, I still went to work in coffee shops. We still met great people. And it allows us to find that balance of, okay, like we're being a tourist on these days, but we're, just kind of enjoying almost living like a local the rest of the time, because we're grocery shopping, we're going to local restaurants, we're, cooking at home because we can't afford to eat all the time. And we want to stay somewhat healthy and not, blow up in a balloon for 10 months eating amazing, rich travel food.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a fun challenge. I really enjoy working remotely. So even, working at home or working in a coffee shop, like it's always fun. And the novelty of, the time difference between like my team in Seattle or clients, was kind of fun. I think I had one time I had a 4 a.m. call when we were in Mongolia with the service, which I opted to do. And it was like, well, we'll make it work. And it was just, it's kind of a novel. I'm glad it's not permanent, but it was fun while it lasted.
So would you not do it again? Like are you considering traveling long-term again?
I definitely would. Yeah. Like, I think I like having a home base to come back to. We're kind of in an interesting transition. Like, we're not really sure where that home base is going to be. We don't think it's going to be Cincinnati in the long term, but whenever we find what that is, like we want to build a home and create a life somewhere, create a community somewhere, but traveling long term again, absolutely. And that may look different depending on the year. Maybe it'll just be a month at a time. Maybe it'll be 3 months at a time. But what's like having the choice is what's really important for me to be able to have my own business, because you don't get that time off in the States. You can't leave for more than 2 weeks at a chunk at a time. And even if you have a very generous vacation package, it's very rare that you could take off for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would love to do long-term again.
Yeah. Well, might I suggest Wilmington? It is a fantastic home base.
I've heard wonderful things.
The housing is very inexpensive. We have both the ocean and the river.
Oh, that's so nice. Water.
It's really hot in the summer, but at least you have the beach.
That's true. Is it muggy? Do you guys get humid?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for that, but it's worth it. It's worth it for the beach. Sorry for the podcast listeners. It's a tangent on Wilmington about how much I love it. It's almost entirely filled with transplants now. Hardly anybody's from Wilmington. Everybody's moved here from California or New York or New Jersey or wherever, because it's so much cheaper and it's such a nice town. Like it's a city technically, but you can still get across town in 15 or 20 minutes.
Wow.
So yeah. The only crappy thing is that there's not any public transportation. I got so spoiled on that in big cities in like Europe and Asia that I'm like, man, I don't want to drive anywhere. I just want to get on a train.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard to find that in a lot of the US, I think. Like unless you're like in a big city. And even Cincinnati, like unless you're living like downtown, there is not great public transportation.
Yeah, I mean we have buses here, but they're not efficient.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like unless you live in a big city, it's hard. So that's you kind of got to take that with a grain of salt when you're looking at smaller towns anyway. Yeah. Are you originally from there?
No, I've lived all over. So. Yeah, nice. I've lived all over. So yeah, I've only been here for almost 6 years. Yeah, almost 6 years.
Cool. So, we'll definitely have to check it out. Yeah.
Come visit. I'll show you around.
Yes.
But back to what we were talking about. The whole reason I thought about that is because because my husband and I, that's our exact plan is we love it here, but we also don't see ourselves living here all the time. Like we want to live abroad for a year or maybe longer, but we always want to have Wilmington to come back to because my family lives here now. They moved here. My in-laws have a house here. So family's still here. We have friends here. And I feel like it's a good base. And it's nice to hear somebody else say that, hey, I may not want to do this long term, but we can do it for a week or a month or whatever. Yeah. Because right now we don't have the ability to travel really, really long term because we have dogs and my husband still has a full-time job, not remote. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I feel bad in those travel communities because I'm like, oh, I can only travel for like 3 weeks or whatever. And people kind of pass that judgment on you a little bit. Like, what do you mean? Like, you can only travel for 3 weeks. I'm like, we can't all just like drop everything at the drop of a hat. And like, yeah,
I feel like most Americans get it, but the rest of the world definitely has a hard time.
Yeah, Europeans are like, what do you mean you can't travel for 6 months?
Oh my gosh, I know. My friend and I went to Argentina. So I was also going to turn into a travel podcast because we're talking about travel. We went to Argentina and we happened to work together. And so we both arranged to have 2 weeks off at the same time, which was, before we left, our coworkers and our friends were like, wow, that's so great. The company gave you 2 weeks off and you could do it at the same time. That's so great. You got that much time. And we're like, yeah, that's great. Glad we got 2 weeks and went down to Argentina. And then we were in Buenos Aires for part of the time. And then we flew down to Ushuaia and we stayed at a hostel. And everyone we met in the hostel was like on a 6-month sabbatical from England. And I'm from Australia, but I'm traveling to South America for 6 months. And like no one was there like in Argentina for less than a month. And even if they were traveling on or from where before that, like everyone was, and they were like, well, how long are you guys here? We're like, 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, I feel like why bother?
Especially Australians are like, oh, we travel for like a year. And I'm like,
yeah, what? They get that gap year and it's expected.
Yeah, I wish that we had that here because I think at like 18, I totally would have done that.
Oh yeah. I feel like it changes your perspective when you get to travel too. Like you get to see other ways. And I think that really tailors like how you choose to live your life. So it's very important.
Yeah. So everybody go travel.
Go travel.
So when you guys decided to, 1, start your own business and 2, travel full time, what did that look like for your family and friends? Were they like, you're crazy? Or were they totally on board?
It's kind of the business part. I feel like I've always had support. Like my husband actually works full-time now. So he's not part of the digital nomad world. But he wants to write. So he has this creative side that he wants to be able to focus on. And I feel like, for that aspect, his family and my family and friends have been very, very supportive. For my business, I feel like everyone's been very supportive. When we decided to sell everything and travel, that was a little bit different. Our friends and family in Seattle, where we were living at the time, were very supportive and encouraging. And I think the most common reaction we got was, I wish I could do that. And you were like, well, you can, but you just have to change what's important to you, which, I get. So with kind of the Cincinnati area where my husband's family is, I think he got a couple people say to his parents, I can't believe you're letting them do that.
Oh,
it's because like we're in our 30s. Yeah, like, what? Yeah, I think we're letting them do that. Is it safe? here it's really scary. I hope they're not going to insert name of country that this person's afraid of here. A lot more concern, I think, came from here. And his parents actually were kind of the exception. They were very supportive. I think they definitely had concerns. I'm sure as my parents did as well, but they were very, very supportive from the beginning. So it was interesting kind of that mentality difference between the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest, where I feel like most of our friend circle out there in the Seattle area has traveled or has done some kind of traveling, whereas where we are now, it's not as common, it feels.
We get that too. A lot of people are like, well, how can you afford to travel? Or like, why are you guys always on a trip? It's like this joke, like, ha ha ha, you're going on another trip. And we're like, that's what we spend our money on. We don't buy other stuff. We don't, like, it's just who we are. It's what we like doing. And I was explaining it to somebody else on the other podcast that I was like, people in the U.S. just don't really travel that much. We have friends that have said they'd be fine never leaving the state.
What?
Which is just nuts to me. I'm like, that's not in my DNA makeup. Like,
right. And if it's in theirs, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I don't identify with that.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've had friends who were like, oh, joking, like, you're going on another trip, or like, oh, you're going back to Japan. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we want to do. Or the people will wistfully say like, I wish I could do that. I'm like, well, you could. You could sell your car. You could not get cable. You could do that.
Yeah.
But you just don't. People don't make it a priority.
Yeah, it's true. And I think people don't appreciate that that's the difference too. There's like, well, with my lifestyle, it's hard for me to save my money. It's like, well, but then you have to make a change. Like then that's, and if you don't want to, that's okay. Just know that there's a trade-off. So it's. Yeah, I hear, people said like, well, I have kids, so I could never do that. And I was like, I know so many families that travel with kids. Like, and even if it's not a year, like if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But there are ways that you can travel with kids. Like, there are ways to make it.
I traveled with my parents a lot. I mean, yes, I was an only child, but we went on road trips all the time. I went to Russia. I went to Singapore. Like, those are experiences that at the time, I was like 8 and 12. Like, I did not fully grasp what was going on, but I'm glad that I had those experiences now because it put that seed in me to kind of be a world traveler and be adventurous and try different things.
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's so cool that you got to see those places at that age.
Yeah. I wish I had appreciated it more.
Yeah.
For sure. So back to entrepreneurial life. So
yes.
Since we got on a
business travel. It's all related for us.
It's all related. So what has been like the scariest thing you've encountered?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's all scary. I mean, so
yes.
I mean, honestly, like I've barely launched my consulting business here. I started working on my website and I started trying to niche down. It's like, I don't want to just go after all local businesses. And I also know that I want my business to be sustainable if we're not in Cincinnati anymore. If we decide to travel long-term again, like I want to make sure that eventually this can shift into continuing to be location independent type of work as well. So as I was doing this soul searching and research and building my website and, still working with my consulting agent or the agency in Seattle, my father-in-law connected me with a local winery here in Northern Kentucky. Ooh. And so I landed my first client before I was really ready. So I'm confident that I can provide the services that he needs. I think I'm scared about the scalability of it and how to price my services because I just want to dive in and do everything. And, I can spend, 8 hours easily on a project, which is, managing social media and running campaigns and cleaning up his website and tweaking his local SEO. And before I know it, like I've used up my entire retainer before, before it's over. It's like, okay, like that's not sustainable. So how can, like, as I'm working through this, I'm trying to work and create, processes. And then, when I'm actually launching my agency here, I'm scared of what that looks like. There's definitely imposter syndrome that creeps in that you have to tell to shut up once in a while. Mm-hmm. And how I want to position myself as a business owner here. So it's all scary. Like my business is still located in Washington State, and I'm learning about what it means to live in a tri-state area because technically I'm in Indiana, but I'm 20 minutes from Ohio. I'm 20 minutes from Kentucky, and we don't know like where we're going to like put roots down if it's going to be in one of those 3 states. And so am I going to move my business there? And if not, like when it comes tax time, do I still have to declare in all 3 states depending on where I do my business? Like I need to hire a lawyer for the first time. I need to those kind of things are mind boggling. Like, and they're things that you don't really like. I can go out and make money, but then what?
Yeah. And those are things you don't always think of when you first start your business. Because I know I kind of want those things that kind of fester for a long time. And then I was like, oh no, I got to pay taxes. And I didn't account for that. And like, it's scary. So now I'm like, okay, everybody needs to get their ducks in a row when you decide to start a business.
Exactly.
Yes, you should leap, but also plan to leap.
Yeah. and it's hard to know what to do. Unless you hire professional help, because no one's going to understand your circumstances exactly. Yeah. So that's definitely been a scary part.
Well, I have a great accountant recommendation if you want it. But
I would love that.
Because I just hired my first accountant this year. Like, it's been almost 6 years of doing this, and I was doing my own taxes. And no one else probably cares about this story.
I think it's so important though. And it's things that people don't really talk about much on, in this community. So yeah, I'm sure people get value.
Yeah. My husband was doing our taxes, and we thought we were doing a pretty good job. And then this year I had a slow couple months, as you do in this world. And I was a little down on myself. And so we had some credit card debt, and then we did our taxes, and our taxes said we owed $2,000. And I was like, what? I have paid in every month. What in the world? So I had to work on my money mindset, and I had to pony up and hire an accountant. And she works specifically just with small businesses online, mostly with women-owned businesses.
Awesome.
And she got us back so much money. Like, I was shocked. I was like, all right, you are totally worth the money I just spent on you that I put on this credit card. Like, and I am totally not for debt, but I have learned to acknowledge that business debt can be good because it is working towards something, which is really scary for me to talk about, because I used to be like, I don't want to look at money. I don't want to think about money. Like, scary. And so I'm having to acknowledge that money is good. I've been like thanking my debt for what it does for me, which sounds really wooey and creepy, but it's something changes when you say, thank you for what you're providing for me. Thank you for the website you helped me build. Thank you for the coach you helped me hire, or whatever, because that's all going to lead to something.
Yeah. No, that's huge. That's a huge mindset shift.
Yeah.
You're totally speaking my language. I love that.
Yeah. So she's great. I would highly recommend around those spheres, working on your mindset around that, because it's really helped me shift and still learn how to scale in a different way. I'm still working on it. I'm always a work in progress.
Yeah. And I feel like it always will be, especially like people's relationship to money. And then when you're launching your own business, like it takes it to a whole nother level, because you're looking outside of personal finance, and there's business credit, and and then taxes that apply differently. There's so many different things that go into it.
Yeah.
And making sure you have systems set up in place, as to make your job as easy as possible, because when you're an entrepreneur, like you're building a business doing stuff you love. And if it's not accounting, like if that's not your superpower, find someone who can help you out with it. Because otherwise it can be a scary pot. You're building a business so you can make money. So you can't steer away from that entirely.
Absolutely. So what is your superpower?
My superpower. So superpowers is working with local businesses. I really, really do love it. I think I've worked with so many local businesses, like as an employee, and there's something to be said about, working with other people that want to do it themselves too. Like that other business owners that want to, create their own, whatever that is. Is it a winery? Is it a car service system? Like whatever that is, like there's a passion behind that. And I think that's really, really exciting. So I'd say my superpowers are really working with those business owners and helping them make the right decisions so that they can move their business forward, because there's so much misinformation out there, and a lot of business owners come to me. They're like, well, I'm supposed to be on the Facebook, so I need to be posting once a week.
Facebook.
I'm supposed to be on the Facebook, and the Google thing, I don't understand that. And business owners are in their business. And so to help them say, Facebook could be great, but let's just take a step back. Where are your customers? Like, where's your audience?
Yeah.
And what is your reason? What, like, anytime you do something for your business, like I want there to be a reason for it. And if it can be tracked, like that needs to be tracked. Can we equate like posting on Facebook for your business into revenue, into business, your business? And if that's not the answer, then is it LinkedIn? Are you B2B? Like what does that look like? Not just because, people tell me I'm supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, exactly. I've had those exact conversations with clients for sure.
It's hard, right? Yeah.
People just think, well, my son told me I've got to be on the Facebook and I need to be on the tweets. I've heard that on the tweets.
On the tweets.
Or on that Instagram or that Snapchat. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, if your people aren't there, and also if you're not going to utilize it, don't open up 1,000 accounts just because you're supposed to.
Right, definitely. And it's I definitely go through this too. I look at other entrepreneurs, other digital marketers. I'm like, wow, I love what they're doing with their social. I wish I could do that. And I've had clients come to me, like I had a plastic surgeon that was looking at, what's his name? Dr. Miami, who's like a plastic surgeon in Florida, who's like was on Dr. Oz. I think.
Oh my gosh.
No, that's like it's a shtick.
Okay.
And he's got like 1 billion Snapchat followers. Instagram followers. And my client was like, I want to do what this guy does. I'm like, you do understand that he has a social media team, but this is not like just him. And he's also creating content every single day. And so knowing that like, that wasn't that my client wasn't going to do that. He just wanted the following. He wanted those vanity metrics. I'm like, this isn't what you think it is. This is so much work to get to this point. You're looking at step 5,000, like you're at step like 5, and it's going to take so much to get from here to here. If that's what you want, I can coach you that way, but I don't think you quite understand what it entails. So it's kind of setting those expectations too, and really focusing on what matters. Because if that's your ideal people aren't on Snapchat, if you're getting 5 billion people look at your stories, like how many of those people are going to come into your office? Like, is that, how do you equate that to, again, how do you measure that with business? So it's the expectation thing's definitely challenging. Yeah.
So what would you say do you have any sort of morning routine or anything that kind of helps start your day to get you ready to work with clients?
I try to. I actually, I got a passion planner, which I love. And I'm visual. So I'm like, oh, good. Like I'll highlight that time that I'm spent doing, X, Y, and Z. And then my schedule changes. And then, all that permanent, marker and highlighter just was completely wasted. So I realized it was just taking too much time to put everything in the passion planner. But what I do try to stick to mornings, I either get up and do yoga or I get up and work out. Like do more like kind of a HIIT workout. I don't do anything more than 30 minutes. I just don't have the patience, but I need to get up and get moving. I shower and I get dressed even when I'm just working from home. I could stay in my pajamas all day, but I feel way more productive and presentable, even if I'm not seeing anyone and no one's seeing me. Like I still get dressed, and I have been doing meditations every day. So it's kind of workout, shower, dress, meditate, have my coffee, my smoothie, and then I'm focused in for work. So like that part of my morning, I love having consistent. I'm kind of a person where I'd like having a schedule, but I also like the flexibility to change it when I need to. I don't know. It's interesting. It's like, yes, I have a routine that I do every morning that I can fit it in.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like me. I'm like, okay, this is what I do every day. And then I'm like, well, this morning I want to
that Thursday. Yeah, exactly.
I want to sleep in, or I have this or that. Yeah, that's exactly how I am.
It's sleeping in is a hard one for me. Like my husband luckily gets up and gets going early. So I just force myself to get up with him, because otherwise I would sleep in a lot later.
Well, sleeping in for me is like maybe 9:30. Like I can't sleep in anymore. That's something about being in your 30s. All of a sudden you can't sleep in past, 10 o'clock at the latest.
Yeah, no, I can't either. It's kind of sad. I kind of miss those 11 noon days in high school.
Yeah, do you remember like sleeping till like 1 in? Like, good Lord.
But then I would go to bed until 4, so it worked out fine. Right. Can't do that anymore either.
No,
Can't do it.
Tangent. Hashtag old. Let's see. What else did I want to talk about? We covered a lot.
We did. Yeah. It's interesting. Like when I was listening to your other guests, I was like, God, like, do I even have anything to add? Like, I feel like I'm just starting my business. Like, but maybe a lot of other, listeners are too. And it's just one step at a time is really,
It really is.
all it is.
So,
Yeah.
what would your piece of advice be for a woman who's looking to start her own business or maybe has just gotten started?
Just do it. Talk to other people that have done it. I joined a ton of Facebook groups and communities, which I found really helpful in the beginning. But at some point I kind of was I was catching myself going down these rabbit holes of education. Like I'm like, oh, I want to learn all these things. And before I do this, I need to learn all this. At some point you have to like stop all the input and start doing the output. Like you're not going to get it 100% the first few times that you try something and just throw something out there. It's kind of that, done is better than perfect mentality. It doesn't mean slack off on things, but you have to put something out there.
Yeah.
And that's scary. It's really, really scary. So, signing my first client before my website was officially finished was terrifying.
But that's awesome. That is
like, wow. Okay. Yep. Okay. Let's just do it. Let's just go.
Sometimes you just have to take action and then just see what happens, which is terrifying.
It is. Yeah, but you learn so much that way.
Yeah.
And there's no way you're going to get something 100% right 100% of the time. Like you just have to take your chance and grow with it.
And you absolutely can redo your business over and over. I mean, I started out doing everything under the sun, social media management, blogging, everything. And now I'm just doing ads and strategy. So you can totally reinvent yourself over and over again, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I feel like definitely early on, I mean, I'm definitely an example of doing that right now, where I'm kind of focusing on a little bit of everything, but I'm definitely going to have to niche that down if I want to not drive myself crazy.
Yeah. And also you can't do it all. Like,
yeah.
You're going to really work all the time if you try to do everything for multiple clients.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And then you find out what you're passionate about and what you're excited about and how you want to get clients results if you're going that way. So yeah, but you got to do it by starting.
Yep. So get started, people.
Yes. Get on it.
Well, where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Sure. Well, my brand new, almost finished website, it is live. So it's probably definitely the best way. So it's just my full name, which is DanielleIsbell.com. I figured I might as well grab that domain name before someone else does. Other Danielle Isbells out there. And my agency is Digital by Danielle. So that's kind of working on creating all of those social links that haven't quite happened yet. But website's up and my email is just hello@DanielleIsbell.com as well.
Yay. Awesome. Well, This has been so much fun. I'm so glad you were able to come on the show.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Melody. It was great to talk both business and travel. Passions.
We apologize for the non-travelers who are listening to this, but we kind of nerded out a little bit.
And for the non-travels, travel more.
Yeah, travel more. Do it. It's not as scary as you think.
No, not at all.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye. Thank you for joining me for the Biz Babes with Soul podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. To learn more about me, Melody Spencer, and the show, please visit swiftlysocial.com.